Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from a throwaway account, and it says, my wife returned from a work retreat with a hickey. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I'm at a loss. How do I move forward? I, 27 male, am in a fight with my wife, 28 female. We've had fights before, but not this bad. I'm at a loss on how to proceed. For context, we're college sweethearts, married for almost 6 years. We have a daughter, 4 female. Our relationship was never perfect or without challenges. We've faced some family opposition with cultural differences, but we've made it work. She's my first love and my best friend. My wife works in corporate. Her job has annual work retreats that last for about a week. This year's was in Vegas. I usually arrange my work schedule and tag along with her and make our own trip out of it. We couldn't this year. Our daughter gets major anxiety traveling long distances. We're working on it, but she wasn't budging, and we decided to choose our battles. So I stood behind and held down the fort at home. The change of plans was a bummer because the trip was part of us reconnecting as both a couple and as a family. My wife's work hours have taken a toll, and her work-life balance leaves much to be desired. We entertain the idea of her skipping the retreat. Attendance is optional, but it's generally frowned upon if you don't, and my wife's making connections in her field. She grew increasingly weird. We have a system: if either of us is away for extended periods, we keep in contact. For the first day or so, she was herself, but she grew distant. I'd even text her about important stuff and be left on read while she claimed she never saw my text. Whenever we talked, she was rushing me or our daughter off the phone. These were all times she wasn't involved in retreat activities. We were supposed to have a mini birthday celebration for our daughter over FaceTime. Our daughter was excited. It was something my wife promised her because the retreat overlapped her actual birthday. But my wife backed out because she had people up to her room after a seminar. It was like she wanted my permission to break her promise to our daughter. I told her I wasn't offering that nor making her keep her word. She said I wasn't being fair, and this was a networking opportunity. They were business orientated and wouldn't understand her stepping away from family time. I said it's her decision, but she'd have to explain it to our daughter. She promised her that she'd rain check the following day. Our daughter didn't understand and cried. My wife ended up hanging up and leaving me to comfort our daughter alone. That whole incident rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. She didn't keep her word for the rain check either. She was documenting the retreat on social media. One co-worker, 23 male, was almost in every pic and video attached to her hip. In one pic, he had his arm too comfortably around her, in my opinion. He's a recent hire in my wife's department. She was asked to oversee him. I didn't like the guy. He doesn't know boundaries. Once, in response to a work assignment, he texts my wife that she's exactly the kind of woman he needs to keep him in check. My wife had brushed it off. She feels bad for him because he's not fitting in. She took him in under her wing during his first retreat with the team. If I'd questioned, she'd say she was tired or networking. There was always something. But I've seen her at these retreats. This wasn't like her. She was just off. The day before her return home, she complained about a bruise on her neck. She stressed it was a bug bite. I didn't actually see the bruise until she came home. I instantly thought it was a full-on hickey. She kinda brushed it off after making a big deal of it over the phone. I didn't push because our daughter was present. But when I was able to confront her, she clung to her bug bite claim. While I kept pushing, she asked what I was trying to imply. I outright said I believed she had a hickey, and I didn't believe that she was being honest with me. We had it out then. She was offended and pissed at the accusation. Infidelity has always been a sore topic. Her family has a history of infidelity. So we had a pretty bad fight, and she accused me of looking to pick a fight due to the incident with our daughter's birthday. I told her it had nothing to do with that and everything to do with a hickey on her neck. The fight ended at an impasse. We're still not recovered. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. I've always trusted my wife. I never doubted her. But this bruise doesn't look like a bug bite. It looks like a hickey. I only feel more strongly when I consider how distant and weird she was during the Vegas retreat. Now she's wearing turtlenecks ever since, and we're caught between arguing and her dousing our daughter and me with affection. Communication usually prevails for us, but not now. I think my accusation pushed us to a new level of argument. I'm at a loss here. I really need outside perspectives. How do I move forward? All I can say on this one is that the signs are all pointing in that direction, right? You said several things like out of character behavior, a guy who's hanging around her, who she's taken under her wing, etc., etc. It's all pointing in that direction, but without conversation, without her admitting to it, you're never going to prove anything, so you just have to go with your gut, I guess. But Sraken says, I've been to Vegas and never saw a single bug. It's like dry as fuck. Desert-like. Not saying that they aren't there, but not like she was in the Mayan Riviera. This is all super sus. Don't let her gaslight you. She clearly got a hickey, which is dumb as fuck in itself. Probably from the idiot who is too experienced to know what he was doing, and preemptively came up with an excuse knowing what it would look like. Out of character behavior, neglecting her daughter, new young guy hanging off her. That is in photos she knew you could end up seeing. What about what you couldn't see? Eyebrowsing raising texts. Sam Sr. says, I used to travel regularly to Vegas several times a year for about 8 years. Worked for the gambling industry. I've never seen a bug anywhere in the vicinity of Las Vegas. What I did see though was a lot of drunks and infidelity. I'm not saying she cheated, but he's right to be suspicious. Football fan says, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I've never gotten a bug bite that looked like a hickey. Did she show you her phone or provide any proof that could support her innocence or just dismiss you? The extra affection is a common move from guilt-ridden cheaters. Even if we stretch the imagination and believe it's a bug bite, she wasn't acting trustworthy, nor was she a good mother while she was in Vegas, and she needs to address and correct that. Opie says no, I haven't had access to her phone. We usually have an open phone policy, but it's not something we've ever really done. I'm sure it'd be another argument. Yeah, you don't get to disconnect from being a parent, especially to a minor, for extended holidays. You certainly don't ghost them on their birthday, and when you promise to do something special for them and got the child excited about it, or hang up on them while they are crying. I'm not insecure. My wife's gone on the retreats before. We both work outside the home after caring for our daughter, so it's not an imbalance. My wife's work-life balance, it's out of sorts. She's in the company of other adults plenty. I've been with my wife on these retreats and other social events. I know how she is. She was off this entire trip, nor was it appreciated her entertaining a co-worker who ignores boundaries, having his arm wrapped around her waist like he was claiming her or something. I trusted her when she said she had a bug bite. I got things to help her treat it for when returned. It was only after I saw the bruise in person that there was no mistaking it was a hickey for me, and I questioned her on it. So OP comes in with her update and says, I, 27 male, wanted to give an update and thank everyone who reached out. The outside perspectives helped. Things are a roller coaster. I'm trying to process. It took a while for my wife, 28 female, and me to have a real conversation about the bruise on her neck. We were stuck between arguing and her showering our daughter, 4 female, and me with affection. I rarely saw the bruise because she was turtle-necked up, but I did note the healing process from reddish purple to yellow. There wasn't any more discussion about the Vegas retreat. She made it clear she was done talking about it and that she shouldn't need to defend herself to her husband. I told her she could do whatever she wanted, but I was done being treated like an idiot, and I wasn't sharing a bed with someone I couldn't trust. So I moved into the guest room. Communication stopped. The silences were palpable. Even our daughter noticed. I'm not proud of that. I try keeping her out of fights. My wife came to the guest room one night and asked if we could talk. I could tell she'd been crying. She said she hated the way things were between us. She felt like she was losing me either way. I told her I needed complete honesty. She confessed she hooked up with that co-worker, 23 male, on our daughter's birthday. The hickey was from him. She was lost in the heat of the moment and didn't realize he was sucking so hard on her neck. By her account, they made out while doing some on top of the clothes stuff, and then he went down on her. It stopped there because he called her by a nickname that I affectionately call her. This snapped her back to reality of her actions. She went to splash water on her face and saw the hickey. The guy made light of it and made a joke about the hickey being her souvenir. She blew up on him and kicked him out of her suite. Part of the reason she was avoiding me was out of guilt. She said she's coming clean because she doesn't want to hide things anymore. I asked her why she cheated. What was it about the guy she deemed worth risking everything? She claimed it wasn't him specifically, nor is she unhappy with our marriage. She doesn't really know how to explain it, but a part of her feels broken. The more she looks in the mirror, the more she sees her dad, 57 male. A cycle of being consumed with work, distant from child, and the infidelity he put her mum, 55 female, through. She said her family never talked about anything openly, and how when she was growing up, my mother-in-law never addressed anything with her. I said her parents didn't make her cheat. She chose to party up with a guy who constantly disrespected our relationship. These were all her decisions, and she at any point could have chosen our family. She agreed. She wants to blame her parents but realizes this is on her. She apologizes for cheating and for entertaining the guy's advances. She said she'd do whatever it takes to repair. Go to HR, quit her job, counseling, anything. She wants to make everything right. I told her I don't know what right looks like or if that's possible for us anymore. I knew we had our problems, but I thought there wasn't anything we couldn't talk out. She insisted we could still talk it out. We didn't have to give up on us. She tried giving the rally cry for our relationship, but I felt very numb. I said I didn't recognize her. Not just the betrayal of our vows, but also how she treated our daughter. She's like a stranger. She feels like she failed as a wife and mum. But she loves us both beyond words and wants our life together and our family intact. I told her I couldn't give her the answer she wanted and thought we needed to separate and reevaluate. She didn't want separation. She felt we should stay together in our home, but I told her a separation was happening. Either she was leaving the home or I was with our daughter. She consented to leaving so as to best not uproot our daughter so much. She asked for our daughter not to be taken away from her. My wife's staying with my in-laws. I know that's difficult in itself because she doesn't have the best relationship with her parents. One of the hardest parts is the shift for our daughter. Right now, she believes her mum's just busy with work per usual. She hasn't questioned it too much. My mother-in-law called the other day. She made no excuses for my wife, but she's advocating for us to work through it. She told me times when she heard my wife describe me as the anchor she's always wanted. She believes there's something worth fighting for if I'm open. Despite some family opposition we faced throughout our relationship, my mother-in-law was always a supporter of us. I'm even more at a loss. I never imagined this kind of betrayal from my wife. She was my safe place. I feel numb yet broken. I'm in love with her. That hasn't changed, but I don't see myself, her, our relationship, or our family the same. Everything's more tense because it's fresh. I think this period of separation is for the best. I'm not sure about divorce. I haven't let myself fully go there. I'm not set either way. I don't know where things go from here, but I'm focusing on our daughter and things one step at a time. I feel that's all I can do right now. Thanks again to everyone for the support. It's much appreciated. And the top commenter on this one says what I was thinking as well. It says, do you still think she's trickle-truthing you? How would the coworker know your nickname for her? Good luck onwards. OP, also think about this part of your comment whenever your wife tells you she is sorry. Cheating on you is one thing, but your wife's behavior towards her daughter is sickening. Knit Like a Boss says, I was just on a work trip with a coworker who has a couple of little kids similar in ages to OP's. He had arranged his travel times to make it easier on them and went back to the hotel to call them every night. Nothing about how the wife is acting is normal or okay. Bobby G says, they didn't stop until he came inside your wife. You know that, right? Meow Meow says she had plenty of time to craft a story where she was less offensive. He went down on her only. Okay. Barkley says, yeah, that's a convenient story. It's bad but offers a glimpse of, oh, it's not so bad, she really didn't do anything to him. That's just not believable to me. Also, the mother-in-law is not your friend here, OP. She's trying to help her child. Again, don't settle for this treatment. And absolutely, the trickle-truthing felt to me, it's just like that commenter said, it felt like, yeah, she isn't doing nothing. It's him doing all the kissing and whatever acts on her, not the other way around. So somehow it might make things a little bit easier for OP to look past it. Not that it is, but you know. But yeah, I absolutely believe more was done there as well. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Traumatize Them Back subreddit from AbelFrosting5603. And it says, no proof? Oh, bless your heart, boss. I wouldn't be surprised if some are going to think this is fake. But I feel like other disabled people here will find this a little satisfying, especially with how human resources offices across the board have sunk to new levels of gaslighting. I have a genetic condition that gives me a variety of weird disorders, including a severe walnut allergy and cancer during my late teens. Since I'm in my 20s, people assume that I'm not as disabled as I actually am, but 90% of the time I just shrug it off. I've experienced a lot of subtle disability discrimination at work, but I've never been at a company where they're comfortable flat out saying, "We don't hire disabled people." Like, personally, I understand the logic of accidentally discriminating against me because you're worried your company could give me an allergic reaction, but every disabled person is unqualified, which eventually led me to this conversation. The head of human resources and owner of the major company said, "I understand you had a misunderstanding with your manager yesterday. I wanted to apologize for any mix-ups." Opie says, "No misunderstanding. Manager denied me a reasonable accommodation because you don't do them, and said your company doesn't hire anyone with a gap in their resume due to disability and illness. Personally, I don't see how chemotherapy I had years ago affects my qualifications for working as a store cashier." The owner says, "Those are serious accusations which we will certainly look into. Unfortunately, none of our employee calls are recorded, so there's nothing I can really do about a he said, she said situation." And then OP cuts him off and says, "Oh, it's not. You're welcome to treat it as a he said, she said situation, if that's your decision. However, I do have the conversation captured for my own records." The owner said, "I'm sorry, let me understand. You recorded your conversations with our employees." OP mentions the state that they're in and says, "Is a single party consent." And continues, "I wish I could have seen his face when I clicked play on my computer and heard my manager say that company was going to throw out my resume only because I needed chemotherapy a while ago, since the owner was particular." The silence on owner's end when he realized that his shitty policies were caught on a hot mic was priceless. I would have more details to show just how bad the situation got before and after reaching out to HR. But to be honest, the EEOC is about to traumatize them harder than I ever could. If you're unsure what the EEOC is, it's the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. OP further edits the post and says, "Holy shit, I wasn't expecting this to blow up as much as it did. I wish this wasn't common, but the comments are really driving me to follow through with this. I can't promise to give all the details, but I'll update, even if it's to say, you should have seen his face at mediation. Lol." Someone says, "Were you hired or not?" OP says, "I was hired after my interview and thought there wasn't an issue besides a terrible joke he made, until I followed up with the manager asking for a simple / no cost accommodation, and he said that they don't do accommodations. He added that I should be excited that I was hired because they usually toss out all resumes with a gap, even when it's due to disability or illness. I asked him why he hired me then, and he said personally he felt that I got a bum hand getting cancer in high school. Otherwise I would have been tossed too. Dude really thought I'd be patting him on the back because I was the exception." Someone says, "Why were you recording?" OP says, "I record all conversations with management the moment they say something legally messed up to cover my own ass. I started recording this manager after he made a fucked up joke about my walnut allergy during the interview. You can probably guess the gist, because I'm not getting my own post flagged over what he said. Someone called it a fake post and OP said I wish this was fake. Honestly, I'd rather live in a society where this is beyond the scope of normal and I could work without assholes making my life harder. But instead, I had to explain to my manager like he's 5 how they're breaking the law as blatantly as possible, and then only double down from there. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes." And I guess someone else was calling it fake and suggesting that he was using a throwaway account and that's why it's fake, etc. OP said, "Bro, I just made the lives of my boss and the owner of a Fortune 500 company a living nightmare. Of course I'm not going to use my usual profile. I just thought it was hilarious that I was making a post about disability and Reddit auto-generated Abel in the username. Lol. Can't wait to update you all on how they're shitting bricks. I don't care about settlements, etc. because I don't expect much. After the bullshit and corporate gaslighting I went through, I just want to watch these two dudes squirm while trying to explain recordings like, I talked with another hiring manager about your chemotherapy and cancer history, and we don't do accommodations, even if it's reasonable. If it's not a business need, then it's not a business need. That's my goal, and everything else is a cherry on top." Oh wow, like OP said, to see his face when that recording was being played must have just been something real special. I will keep an eye out for OP's update when they do come through. I imagine it will take some time for something like that, but I don't know. I don't know the legalities of it all. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.